Apollo 13 is a 1995 American space docudrama film directed by Ron Howard, starring Tom Hanks, Kevin Bacon, Bill Paxton, Ed Harris, and Gary Sinise. It dramatizes the aborted 1970 Apollo 13 lunar mission and is an adaptation of the 1994 book Lost Moon, The Perilous Voyage of Apollo 13, written by astronaut Jim Lovell and Jeffrey Kluger. The film depicts astronauts Lovell, Jack Swigert, and Fred Hayes aboard Apollo 13 for America's fifth crewed mission to the moon, which was intended to be the third to land. En route, an onboard explosion in the oxygen tanks deprives the spacecraft of its oxygen supply and electrical power, which forces NASA's flight controllers to abort the moon landing and turns the mission into one of seeking scientific and mechanical solutions to get the three men home safely. Director Ron Howard went to great lengths to recreate a technically accurate movie, employing NASA's assistance in astronaut and flight controller training for his cast and obtaining permission to shoot films aboard a reduced gravity aircraft for realistic depiction of weightlessness experienced by the astronauts in space. It received critical acclaim, nominated for 9 Academy Awards, including Best Picture. It won for Best Film, Editing, and Best Sound. Also won some Screen Actors Guild Awards, as well as 2 British Film Awards. It grossed over $355 million during its theatrical release. Any good, Brett? Any good?
You said Ron Howard tried to make it as realistic as possible. Does that mean he faked it, just like the moon landing?
Yeah, I mean, everyone knows the moon landing was completely faked. We've never been in space. And I mean, how are you going to get through the dome?
It'd be impossible to get through all those LCD screens.
Yeah. I mean, it's a work of fiction, isn't it? And it's just sponsored by the government to protect the big corporations,
the elite,
the elites, the Bush family, and the Bin Ladens in conjunction with the Koch brothers, making billions of dollars, keeping us trapped within the dome.
Because they killed Kennedy.
He was going to let the cat out of the bag.
That's right. The Russians made it. Yeah. Apollo 13, back on track, away from conspiracy theories. Let's not go down that rabbit hole. You said this was 94? 95?
Well, I wasn't really paying attention. 95.
Because, I mean, my memories of this, right, when it came out, I loved it when it came out. I thought it was the greatest film. I'd just gone to see Forrest Gump, right, the year before or that year whenever Gump came out, and that was the Tom Hanks paired with Sinise, and it was like they were the dream team. And then Apollo 13 for me was like, yeah, get back together. It's Lieutenant Dan and Forrest Gump in space. And
yeah. I forgot they were in Forrest Gump together, weren't they?
Yeah. And so it was like, for me,
also Kevin Bacon, Footloose,
and that's it. It's bringing it together. So at the time, it was the dream team, and it was one of the first like adult serious movies that I would have seen at the cinema. And I rated it highly. And then when you recommended it for the podcast, I was like, yeah, Apollo 13. Upon rewatching, I struggled with it. I really did. I found it like boring as all hell.
Are you doing this for dramatic effect, or have you lost your mind?
No. I did not enjoy myself watching it this time. I did not enjoy looking at Kevin Bacon's stupid face. I don't know what's happened.
Is it like a slower pace than you used to for modern films? Because it does sort of gently
possibly.
kind of roll along a
But it
little.
was there, I guess, maybe in knowing the story and knowing what happens, its rewatchability is low. But it didn't. I kept like finding myself going, "That's Woody talking," you know, like all the stuff that's happened in between when I originally saw it and now has, it broke the glass for me rewatching it. I did not find myself being entertained.
I remember, I think I watched it on television in New Zealand, Sky TV. So there's no ads.
The first
That was
time.
first time I saw it. And I thought it was like really exciting and riveting and had me on the edge of the seat. But yeah, now it's kind of a gentler pace sort of a film, isn't it? And it's from what I've been reading, it's actually really accurate to what happened. They only changed a few minor things, so it's realistic. So it's not, they're getting sucked out into space, and then the mask is cracking and the oxygen's leaking in, and they kept it pretty real. So maybe it's not as hyper.
It's a wonderful, story and a celebration of humans triumphing over adversity or whatever, and flying out into space, that's the real deal, and making it back. So there's a story there to be told, and the pace of the movie, I guess, fits the reality of what was happening. It doesn't need any fake drama. And I guess some of it you think, oh, you can't write this shit. Like in real life, the guy that was meant to go with them had the measles, and so he couldn't go. But then, he didn't have the measles later on, kind of thing.
It's kind of like Gravity. Gravity's pretty much the exact same story, isn't it?
Gravity's the one where Sandra Bullock flies around in space in her underwear for a while. Is that the one?
Yeah. Which is a tremendous film. I really like that movie. But that's a lot more like hyped up than this one. But it's kind of the same story.
Yeah. I guess just with one chick instead of three dudes. One of those
Clooney dudes pops up a bit.
Well, Clooney pops up anywhere. He's a handsome man. He's allowed to do what he likes. But who we have failed to mention, or at least talk about straight away, is the star of this film and every film that he's ever been in, who eclipses every other actor. No, it's the mighty Bill Paxton. May he rest in his Colonial Marines outfit. Game over, man. Game over. We got to do bad.
He's a class act, Bill Paxton. Yeah, do you remember Frailty?
I do. That was when he was killing demons with the axe.
That was an awesome film. I haven't seen it so long, but I remember just going, wow.
Very underrated masterpiece that I haven't seen since it came out. So much like this film, it may not have lasted the test of time.
May not have, but Bill Paxton directed that one. It's great. I just remember thinking this film.
Bill Paxton was the only actor that made Titanic watchable.
Bill Paxton for Emperor. Yeah.
Bill Paxton.
You know what it made me think of is I watched Val Kilmer's documentary recently.
Great documentary. Yeah.
And he's talking about he was in a play and he got the lead role, then he got kicked out because they got Kevin Bacon instead, and Kevin Bacon was this big deal. And I was thinking, wow, Val Kilmer is such a better actor than Kevin Bacon. And I saw Kevin Bacon in another film, JFK, recently. I watched JFK again recently with Kevin Bacon's not a great actor in that one. And
by that rationale, let's take, if we took every Kevin Bacon role and replaced him with Val Kilmer, I think it would work better. You think about any film that has Kevin Bacon, Footloose, let's shove Val Kilmer, young Val Kilmer into Footloose, boom, it's working. Think of him in Top Secret.
Yeah. Well, I thought the weak link in this film, the acting, is Kevin Bacon.
But he has
He's
an
just
enormous.
not quite on the par of Bill Paxton and the mighty Tom Hanks, is he? Or Ed Harris.
Well, no,
Good Lord.
Ed Harris is brilliant. And look,
He's
I
a
mean,
powerhouse.
Sinise, for all his snake face, I think he's a wonderful actor too. I do enjoy Gary Sinise. What
I
was I
love him. He
saying?
just grumbles and just kind of goes, "Rawr, rawr."
Yeah, yeah. And he's
And
Lieutenant
he's amazing
Dane.
at it.
So,
Mm.
But Kevin Bacon, you're right. I don't know if he's an acting powerhouse. I mean, damn, he's better than I'll ever act. But yeah, he was the weakest link for sure. But I believe he'd have the biggest dick. You remember Wild Things?
Yeah. Oh, gosh. Now that you mention it, does he show his Willie in that?
He does. So the backstory to that, there's a shot and it's over like, who's the other guy in that film? Is it Matt Dillon?
Yeah.
And anyway, there's a shot where it's like an over-the-shoulder shot and they only shot the scene once or something. And Kevin Bacon was the producer of that film. Anyway, they'd done this one shot and they rang Kevin Bacon up and said, hey, we only got one take of this scene and your dick wasn't meant to be in it, but it's in it. What do we do? Do we need to reshoot it? And Kevin Bacon said, does it look good? And they said, yep. So they left it in. So go watch Wild Things. You'll see Kevin Bacon's.
I was just going to suggest, let's watch Wild Things. And we're going to have to rate Kevin Bacon's hog.
Yeah, perfect.
As a producer, he made the right decision, I think. Like,
I think so.
How much would it cost to have reshot that scene?
That's right. And when you've got it, you've got it.
And if you hadn't have seen it, you'd just be curious, wouldn't you?
I guess. And you got to put something in the film for the ladies.
Yeah.
This film,
wow, yeah,
Apollo 13. Do you think do you think the ladies would like Apollo 13, or is it a bit of a blokes film?
No, I kind of think I don't know how it would do on its diversity score in 2021. I said I don't think coloured folk existed back in 1960s.
Not in the 60s.
No, and women, they were pregnant and just shut up and smile for the camera.
Yeah, just pining for their husbands in space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was wondering, is it, that she had the speakerphone with NASA written on it sitting in her room? Like, is that a real thing? Like, do you really have?
I'm sure it is. Remember, Ron Howard wanted it to be, he wanted it to be as realistic as possible. So there are NASA speakerphones.
I did find a couple of things that they changed up.
Mm-hmm.
So the scene where they got to figure out how to plug the round thing into the square thing, and they throw the things on the table and go figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
They already thought what would be do if this happened, and they already had a procedure and they already had that worked out beforehand. And so they basically just grabbed the procedure and said, do this. It wasn't a big deal like they made out in the movie. The other thing is at the end, Gary Sinise, he's going through all the procedures to try and turn the thing on so they have enough power, and it's a big drama. They'd already figured that out like months in advance, and they just but he was checking things off just to make sure it was right before they did it.
Yeah. I mean, they're smart people, these astronauts. You'd think they'd try and cover as many as many outcomes as possible before.
Yeah.
Because you're in fucking space. And when you think about it, when they jumped on the first rocket, they're like, all right, we're down here. We're going to shove you guys in this giant rocket ship. And we're going to hope there's a moon out there to land on. There was a lot of blind faith, don't you think, to go out and land on the moon?
What's incredible to me is like all the technology and the millions of dollars going into it, and they've got the ship's like the most basic thing in the world, and it's got the dials are like little mechanical dials kind of going around, and you just think, wow, how did they do it? Like, this is so Like there's computers, but they're not computers. Like you'd be better off
Yeah.
running it off an iPhone. A lot of those systems.
Well, now, yeah, that's it. Well, I guess you think though the size of the first computers were like buildings essentially, right? Massive rooms for that processing power, and now it's inconceivable to the guys back then the technology we have in our phones. So I think just the amount of intellect and balls and money that went into let's go up to that shiny white thing in the sky. It's pretty epic.
When they're like calculating their trajectory to like re-enter the Earth's atmosphere, we've only got this much of a corridor, and the computer's out, and they're like, let's eyeball it.
Yeah.
I think that's phenomenal. I haven't found anything to say that wasn't right.
Yeah.
That wasn't actually what happened. So incredible.
Yeah.
I thought it was a really well made movie. I like the little setups they had. Like everything was breaking. That Tom Hanks is driving along, and then his car breaks down at the red light. And he's like, "Oh shit, never done that before." And then Ed Harris is like, "Okay, they're going to crash if we don't figure this stuff out." And then his overhead projector breaks.
A bit of foreshadowing.
Yeah, foreshadowing. And there's things like they pull out the frozen sausage, and then they're getting colder a bit later and stuff. It's all just, I don't know, it's all well written and set up, and it takes its time and it tells a story really well. I love the wide shots. Wide shots are getting so rare now. It's like wide shots, medium wides, and close-ups when you really want to focus on something and really have to bring attention to something. Otherwise, just beautiful wides, medium wides to like just let the film breathe, and you can see the geography and get the reactions of multiple people all at once. The simpler the camera work, the better it is. I just find it classy.
So Ron Howard's time on Happy Days as Richard Cunningham really paid off, right? Because isn't that where he cut his teeth behind the camera?
He's one of those guys, possibly. I really like one of his first films was Splash. I love Splash. No, not Splash. Yeah, he did. Splash was his first film, I think. But he also did Cocoon. I remember watching Cocoon over and over again as a kid.
Did he do Cocoon? I didn't know that.
Yeah. And Backdraft. He made so many great films. Willow.
Ransom. Mel Gibson.
A good film. I haven't seen that in a long time. It's a good film.
Give me back my son.
Of course, he made Solo, the Star Wars story.
Have not seen that since it was in the cinema.
It's all right.
I mean, look, it was an entertaining ride, but I wouldn't put the movie poster up on my wall or anything.
He took the check and he banked it. God bless his soul.
There was another case of stop filling in backstory with Star Wars when we don't want it. You know what I mean? Like,
wow, it was cheesy, simple answers, I thought.
Yeah, but every little comment, every line in a Star Wars film doesn't need to be, in the original film doesn't need to be made into its own thing. Oh, I did the Kessel Run in 12 parsecs. Oh, let's put that in the film and ruin it.
As a hardcore Star Wars fan, when they were explaining how Han Solo got his dice, I was like, what fucking dice?
Yep. Yep. Agreed.
Star Wars fans around the world went, never heard of it.
And then, but then you look at the original and you go, oh yeah, there's dice. Oh, that was neat. Somebody looked that up.
Yeah, no one cares.
What's your name, love? Ray. Ray who?
So,
Ray Skywalker.
Maybe we should talk about this film.
We can segue all we like.
He's a really good director. He does a good job. I was thinking, this film, Imagine Entertainment, is Ron Howard and Brian Grazer, who's like a super producer. And I saw an interview with Brian Grazer, and they said, Imagine Entertainment, their whole modus operandi is making inspirational films. And so this is a film that's all about, you know, in the face of incredible odds, man overcomes. It's really neat. But as a film, it doesn't have character arcs, you know? Like, it's the characters don't grow like in a traditional story. It's just more of a documentary. That's a good description at the beginning when they call it a docudrama. So it's not really a film story. It's a fairly accurate recreation of real events.
True, but you think, you know, the arc is those, you know, that they had a team for the trip, and then that team's taken away from them, and this new guy, it's not going to work, and then they pull together as a team and have success. You know,
that's one of the elements that was made up for the film. It's like
the Mighty Ducks. Yeah,
that was made up for the film. Apparently, there was no animosity. No one ever blamed him for doing anything wrong. He never blamed himself, and there was no argument in space. They were very professional the whole way through. But I don't know. That was the bit that didn't ring true for me when I was watching it too. That felt a little hammy. It felt a little out of place. I guess it was showing that they were getting the CO2 poisoning. But,
yeah. I think the film, yes, it's a classic, but of its time. It is of the early mid-90s, you know. I don't think if Apollo 13 was released now, it'd be such a big hit. I think it would be a Netflix show that some people rave about and others don't.
The thing that impresses me about it is kind of like what we talked about with Back to the Future is it's such a simpler film than you're getting today, such a smaller scope than you're getting with the films today. But that's just better. Like it's a simple story. It's told well. It unfolds naturally. It's not trying to crack a joke every 2 minutes. That's not funny. It's just solid entertainment for me. I thought it was
well acted, well shot, good story, right? That's really all you need for a good movie.
Yeah.
So Ron Howard just had it given to him on a silver platter. Did he do Willow? He did Willow as well, eh? Yeah.
With Val Kilmer, which
with Val Kilmer.
Film 1,000%.
The circle is complete. The circle is complete.
Yeah. What do you think about one of the ideas brought up in the film was traveling to space? We could use that money on Earth, not flying around the galaxy willy-nilly. You're doing 13 missions to the moon and stuff. Like, couldn't you spend the money here? What do you think?
Well, that's very topical because we just had 2 bisquillionaires fly into space, right?
Yeah.
When at a time when the world needs money.
Was it 3?
There's so many
Bezos,
these days.
Musk's crew and
I didn't think Musk did it. I thought it was just Bezos Branson. and Branson. I thought it was just those 2.
Well, I think no. Well, Musk has just sent that Phoenix flight.
All right, we'll get on them. But like, I don't care. It's their money. They've earned it. They can do what they like. It's kind of the way I look at it, right? They've earned those millions of dollars. People have given their money for the service or whatever, Amazon or Virgin, whatever, right? So they can spend their money however they please. Though, at a time when, you know, millions are suffering, is it right for the philanthropists to just go, sweet, I'm out. I'm going to go have my little joyride? For no other reason than a joyride. It is not like they're exploring space. It is not like, unless that's the next phase, which I guess it could be, right? But I think there is a definite benefit to space travel. You know, like if we find a rock that has more resources, or if we find, I don't want to say extraterrestrial life because this isn't a conspiracy podcast, but, so there's potential there for human growth and forward movement. And it's got to start somewhere. But at the moment, it does feel like a joyride.
Well, to me, there's no reward in helping people. That's just a waste of time. But I've been looking into it. So some of the reasons for going, I know Musk's reason for space travel is that he's worried that we're going to be hit by another asteroid, and all life on Earth gets wiped out. It's a real possibility, and so to continue forever and ever, we need to be a spacefaring civilization. But I was looking, they do keep returning to moon because on the moon, they have a resource called helium-3, which is rare on Earth, but it's spread out on the moon's ground. And the moon's dusty ground is called regolith, and there's helium-3 in there that they can mine. And with the helium-3, they can build helium reactors, nuclear reactors, and they can make self-sufficient bases on the moon. And when they mine the regolith, there's also it's filled up with different metals and minerals that when you separate out those metals and minerals from the helium-3, and then you separate those out, you can create oxygen and water as a byproduct. And there's also things called rare earths in there. And rare earths are on Earth, but they're not that common. And it's extremely polluting to mine the rare earths. So basically, the only country that will do it is China, because China don't give a fuck, basically. And so China controls 95% of these rare earths. And the rare earths are used to create batteries for electric vehicles and cell phones and all that kind of stuff. But we could mine it on the moon and pollute the crap out of the moon, and who gives a shit? And that would be better for us.
Sure. No one's living there. When was the last time, I should Google this shit. When was the last time we landed on the moon?
Well, we've never landed on the moon. It's just the government, and it's Stanley Kubrick and the Koch brothers and the Bin Laden.
He talks about it in The Shining.
The Bush family. And they're going to vaccinate all of us, and then we're going to die.
I did watch that documentary. Kubrick's moon landing. I can't remember what it was called. Anyway, great segue.
Apparently, with that,
what were we talking about? Last
minerals.
Moon landing. I don't want to know about minerals. I want to know about the last moon landing date. Let's listen to Brad Googling. Okay, so the final moon landing mission of NASA was not far after Apollo 13. Can you guess the number? Apollo
14?
17. You were wrong.
When was that?
And that was in 1972. So you think about the technology we had in 1972, we're landing on the moon. And now we've got more than that technology in our pockets. And we're just looking up monkeys sniffing butts and cute cats.
Yeah. Costs fuel to get up there, though.
Yeah.
Like they're moving that rocket the speed of a bullet to get up through the atmosphere.
Speed of a bullet? I don't know about that.
Giant rocket full of fuel to get 3 people into the air.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
I saw it in a movie.
I don't know about that. Oh, in a movie, it must be true. Space rocket speed. Welcome to the Brad Googles podcast. 9,000 to 16,000 kilometers an hour. You can cut this whole bit out
I edit nothing.
So Apollo 13, you've just gone into your Walmart and you're in the DVD section. What's this in the bargain bin with? A double feature. Apollo 13 and what?
Well, I was going to say Wild Things.
Well, you've got a big rocket and a big rocket.
Two big rockets.
Two big rockets.
Kevin Bacon sandwich.
That is very true. That is very true.
What about you? What do you reckon?
Look, man, I'm going to put it with Forrest Gump because it's Lieutenant Dan and Forrest Gump riding high. This was their peak. Those two actors, right? Yeah. Coming off a big film, looking young, smashing it. How many cats meows?
Hang on. I'm just looking on IMDb. It gets 7.6 out of 10. And the reviews on IMDb are basically great movie, great movie. This is a great movie. What a great film. Blah, 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 blah. I don't think anyone dislikes it.
I disliked it.
Cats Meows, I give it 8 out of 10 Cats Meows.
8 out of 10.
Yeah.
Honestly, when I saw it in 95, I would have given it a 9 fluffy Cats Meows out of 10 plus because it was the 18. Upon rewatching, I'm giving it like a 3 or 4. I'm giving it a 4 Cats Meows and half a purr.
4 Cats Meows. Well, you've gone from 3 to 4 to 4.5 and a purr.
Because of your face, I thought I'd notch it up a little bit.
What if it had Kevin Bacon's hog in it? Will that get you to 7?
Well, Kevin Bacon's hog's a completely different thing. It does have Bill Paxton in it. That's why I gave it 4 and a purr.
Wow, that turned out radically different than I thought. I thought we'd be on the same. I thought our pussies would be aligned, but apparently they're not.
They are not. They are not in the pool together with Kevin Bacon.
Thanks for listening to Pointless and Confused. We believe there's a little thing where you can send a tip if you want. We have no idea how it works.
We need cash.
Yeah, for whores.
And Vegemite.
Yeah. And what
Good day.
No, I've got to tell them the other thing.
Oh, what was the other thing?
Subscription.
Look, you could subscribe if you want to hear the sound of our sweet, sweet voices in your ear. Whenever a new episode drops, you'll be the first to know.
Yeah, we're not sure how you do that either, but you'll figure it out.
We're new to this. Come on, you guys.